So mapping the data in your life. Let's analyze a common. Let's analyze products that a common person uses, right? I'm assuming you are a common person, right? You're part of the world. You're a common person, and we're going to analyze the products that you use on a daily basis, right? On a daily basis, day in and day out, and we will try and categorize them into either a physical bucket or a digital bucket, right? And we want to see that percentage after our kind of analysis. We want to see the amount of digital kind of products we use and the amount of physical products, what percentage of the whole, right? If you think of it as 100% of the products and tools that you use, we want to see what percentage is digital and what percentage is physical. Why, you may ask? Because this will help give us a perspective and understand the importance of data, right? So anytime there is a digital product, it's going to generate data, and that data that's generated from those digital products have immense power, right? So as in, data is superpower. So we want to understand how much percentage of our products are either digital or physical. So let's go. So the way we're going to approach this is that we're going to use some kind of map, right, on a y-axis and x-axis. So that map on the y-axis would be obviously the different types of physical or digital products that you're using. But on one axis, whatever, x or y, we're going to see the different types of activities that you do, right? And the best way to kind of see that what activities a person does, I won't say the best, but one approach is that we use this hierarchy of needs, right? So hierarchy of needs is I'm sure a lot of y'all are already familiar with it. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's basically a pyramid structured needs hierarchy, right? So the needs at the bottom need to be fulfilled first before you can kind of enjoy the other needs, right? I won't say enjoy. I mean, some are enjoyment. Obviously, entertainment can be enjoyment. You can live without entertainment, right? But basic needs you have. But typically, to get to the next level or the higher level, the one above your current one, whatever physical, you need to be able to fulfill the bottom one before you can move on to the next one, right? So yeah, that's what it is, right? So as the perfect human, right? The perfect human would be at the top, right? Who's been able to fulfill all their needs, right from their physical existence to their self-mastery, right? But there are a few different kind of other needs go in between. So anyway, the whole point of this hierarchy of needs is going to give us a way to plot our different activities that we do on a daily basis. And then on the other axis, we are going to plot what kind of tools help us fulfill these activities, right? Fulfill these needs or activities. Again, needs could be into activities, right? Yep. So another way we can do this is kind of looking at your standard routine, right? A typical day in life. Again, I'm assuming there is a lot of people who would go through a very similar routine. It may not be accurate every day in and day out, right? But we are trying to get a ballpark figure. We're not trying to get it very kind of statistically accurate facts, right? Very statistic. We want to get a rough idea, right? I mean, it's like the 80-20 rule, right? We want to understand the 20% part, which is important, not the 80% of the other activities that may not be important, right? Whatever. So anyway, stuff that you do on a daily basis, we can do. Another way of plotting is like a typical day in life, right? I mean, plotting and understanding. We're just not trying to plot a graph. We want to kind of mentally plot that graph on the y-axis, probably the activities, typical day in life, the activities that you do. And on the other axis, the x-axis, you're plotting the type of product that you might use to facilitate these activities, right? A digital product or a physical product. Anyway, so let's have a look with this kind of format, right? Typical day in life. 6 to 8 a.m. you kind of get up, you have breakfast, you put your kids to school, get ready, Uh, if you're a kid, you are getting ready. I mean, kind of similar, right, for most people. But uh, I guess one thing to even clarify here is that we are looking at adults, right? We are looking at adults, the working class, not somebody who are outliers, right? I mean, students are also fall within that working class, right? They are like pre-working class that go into a say similar kind of routine, right? 9 to 5. So 8 to 9 you travel to work or your school or college, whatever. 9 to 5, that's the core chunk of your day. You are at your work or your school, and that could be, are you working with data or are you not working with data? And today's day and day age, we live in the information age, right? There's information everywhere. I mean, it's all about mobile phones, data. So you're most likely you're working with data. There is a factor to it, right? I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, again, we can say, do you work with data? Most probably, yes, if you're living in a city, right? If you're living under a rock, probably not. But or if you're living in a village, you're probably not. But mostly within a city, that's what you can expect. 5 to 6, you travel back home again, car. I'm just putting it, standardizing it as car, which is physical. But if you kind of see, right, your car could be also digital, right? That whole activity of traveling back to and fro from to your workplace or your school and then back can also be both physical and digital, right? Because you might use a like something like a map, right? Google Map, whatever map you use, you that kind of gives you directions to your place of work. Or even if it doesn't give you direction, it definitely tracks your data if you have that location on, right? So anyway, that's there. 7 to 8, you go to your gym, whatever. Is that data involved in your gym? 7 to 8? Maybe there is, right? You're using some app. Could be. 8 to 10, again, 2 hours for dinner and entertainment. Entertainment in today's day and age, if it's mostly digital, it's like streaming services like Netflix, whatever, Amazon, all the popular ones, right? 10 to 6, then you're sleeping. That portion is probably your basic physical needs. And there could be other activities that I've missed, but this is a very kind of broad stroke paint of your typical day in life, right? Okay, let's see certain factors that will influence that your typical day in life or your hierarchy of needs, right? Or let's kind of just see the typical day in life, whether you're blue collared or white collared. Remember, we looked at that 9 to 5 chunk, which is the key kind of hours. If you look in terms of hours, it's at what, 8 hours, right? 9 to 5, 8 hours, and probably another 8 hours, give or take, you're doing other activities, traveling, most of it being physical, right? You're taking care of your physical self and excluding sleep, but still physical, right? I mean, you getting ready, going to the gym, eating your food, whatever. So again, coming back to this first factor, you need to see if you're individually analyzing your life, right? You can see whether you're a blue collared or white collar. If you're a blue collared worker, you would probably be less involved in data, right? Whereas if you're white collared, you're probably more involved with data, as in you are using more digital products and tools, and that's generating more data, right? So that's basically it. And then people kind of fluctuate, right, on these two extremes. So yeah, I mean, on a scale of 0 to 10, if you're 10, you're probably working in one of the top tech companies or even a tech company, right? And most of your work is a desk job, right? Whereas 0, you are working as a carpenter in a remote village in Siberia, right? You don't use any network. Again, I'm just kind of making this, assuming this story, assuming this situation just to paint that picture, right? But I think most of us would be, say, from between 6 to 10, right? We're living in the digital age, so some sort of work we get will be digital. The second factor is whether you're living in a city or a village, right? City would be considered 10 on a scale of 0 to 10. You're on a city, you're 10. Whereas 0 being the village, right? Remote village in Siberia, wherever, that doesn't have any network. Siberia, India, whatever, that doesn't have any network access. Maybe working on 1G, 2G, sorry, not 5G, but 2G. And probably they have a local kind of phone. I mean, back in the day, I mean, I don't think that's the case today, but back in the day, like 10 years back, right? 10 years back, yeah, not 10. Even now, I'm sure there are certain kind of villages, right, that don't have internet and things like that, right? So that's a factor to consider. But I'm sure if you're watching this video on your phone, right, you're probably somewhere between 6 to 10, right? Okay. So that's another factor. And again, there could be multiple different factors, right? If you have any on your mind, please put it down in the comments. But yeah, I'm sure there are multiple factors. So even when you're doing this ballpark analysis, right, you've got to know there are certain kind of factors that could depict the variability of your data in your life, right? How much data is generated. So again, this was just an illustration to show that you could be living in a city, or you could be completely off-grid in a remote village, right? So now again, trying to map this with this hierarchy of needs, right? So here what I've tried to do, try to kind of just jot down the points, the basic needs from my experience that you might have, right? That a common kind of standard person has, right? I said white collared over here, but white collared, blue collared, that's just a work difference. But yeah, there's be most people here. So basic would be survival and existence. You're sleeping, obviously, you need to eat, and so sleeping, that's physical, right, on a bed. Eating, drinking, that's again physical. Living in a house could be physical and digital, because you might be using a lot of digital tools, right, that you put in your house, digital tools to kind of make your standard of living high, right? Maybe an air conditioner, maybe a fridge. And then again, these you might be communicating digitally from your phone too, right? Think of things like Internet of Things. Again, that's a bit in the future, but you might still be using a few things there, right? So we can say that even some of your basic needs go into physical, and kind of digital encroaches a bit on it, right? Traveling by car, flight, etc., whatever you travel by, again, could be digital too, right? If you're driving a Tesla car, a lot of your travel is relying on that digital products of that digital car, right? So, and that generates a lot of data, self-driving, whatnot, right? But at the basic, it's going to kind of track your route and things like that, right? So that's that. The next level of the pyramid is work, family, and society, right? Work is the primary one, right? And family and society, obviously, that's also the second primary one. But then, I mean, work can be actually put into that basic need, in fact, like for survival. But anyway, that's debatable. But let's just kind of keep it simple. Work being that other societal belonging and work, right? So yeah. So under this category, right, work, family, and society, which is kind of belonging, right? You need to communicate, because work, what is work? If you essentially look at it, it's a bunch of people coming together to do and produce something, right? Like simple capitalistic kind of form. You're trying to build a company. You're trying to make a company, business. So in a very simple form, you're trying to build a company, right? If you live in a capitalistic society, you're working in a company, and what basically happens is a bunch of people kind of come together, and they build a product or service, whatever, and they sell it, and they make money off of it, right? So again, when a bunch of people come together, they need to communicate. So that's communication is essential in any time you are working or with family or society, right? Group of people. Work at a job, that's also digital. I mean, again, this is work at a job could be blue collared versus white collared, right? If it's blue collared, like we discussed in that factor section of the video, you'd see that it's either blue collared or white collared. I mean, again, can vary there. But the key thing here is, right, very important, is that you get paid, right? And most of that is digital. I mean, I don't think today's day and age, no employer pays them by cash directly, right? It's always paid through your bank, and then the bank you can withdraw cash, but you don't get paid directly in cash, right? And that's not noted like back in the day. If you back in the day, like 50 years or 100 years back, right? An employee paying you with cash. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, working a job is essentially the core of your working your job, right? Is digital, right? You're getting paid in digitally. I mean, that's been tracked in a database somewhere, right? So anyway, so that's that. It's very important to understand. Paying your mortgage, if you have a mortgage, I mean, that's the next thing that's what you do, right? As you kind of go through that needs section, right? Your work, family, society, you do a job, you get married, you have kids, you pay their fees, you buy a house. Obviously, houses again kind of tied back into that essential thing, but it's also within that society belonging thing, right? So paying a mortgage is again digital. You don't go and pay it but with cash, right? Again, school fees, same thing here. So anyway, as you can see, right, this section, the more higher you go, it's turning out to be more digital here, right? Even 50%, let's say 25% of your physical basic survival and existential need is also digital. Whereas work, family, and society, it's almost like 80% digital. Can you say ballpark? Anyway, let's move on to entertainment. Entertainment is kind of luxury, right? That's, by the way, this is my interpretation of the hierarchy of needs, right? Basic physical existence, work, family, society, entertainment, and then finally self-mastery. So entertainment is very important. It's like once we kind of relax into society, you got a good job, good pay, whatever, right? Your family relationships are all good. You're trying to get relaxed, like entertain yourself, right? You're using some sort of toys. I mean, again, that could be physical and digital. Or you're doing some TV video games or TV or video games, right? That's digital. Again, a rough ballpark would be 50-50 split, right? You want to have some toys like a bicycle or whatever, right? Physical. I'm hoping most people do that, but yeah, I mean, roughly it's like 50-50 again, entertainment section too. And then finally, self-mastery. Self-mastery is the ultimate kind of pinnacle of your development, right? What do you want to do? Self-mastery is you want to gain some level of skill at your work. You want to be a top kind of at whatever work you do. And you essentially, you have skills that others don't, right? So that could be even physical, digital, depending on, again, those two factors, right? Are you working in a village or a mega city? If you're in a mega city, the highest paying jobs or the most in demand jobs are tech or, I know, real estate or something, right? Whatever. But then you get some learning new skills is also 50-50, I would say, like digital and physical, right? Digital because you need to kind of, to learn those skills, you go online and you learn in today's day and age, right? And physical, yeah, I mean, I know maybe certain portion of it is physical. And finally, gaining wisdom, right? Even wisdom is something today's day you gain through the internet, right? Imagine without the internet, you wouldn't know you wouldn't get a lot of information, and then you wouldn't be able to analyze that information, right? So it's also gaining wisdom, which is the pinnacle of your individual growth, right? That pyramid as a human being is also 50-50, I would say, physical and digital. Maybe you mastered some. Yeah, again, we can analyze this further, but we will just kind of simplify it as 50-50, right? Physical and digital for self-mastery, gaining wisdom. Okay, so the key to kind of takeaway from all this, right? So see here, it's like physical, digital, physical, digital, physical, digital. I mean, if you look at this, right, most of it is, I mean, again, I'm roughly putting it, right? 60% of your existence is like digital, right? It's digital products are helping you to do whatever you do, right? By this analysis that we did right now, right? And 40% is physical. Again, the physical portion is that existential portion, right? I mean, if you think of it, just sleep itself is like very important. You sleep for 8 hours, right? 1/3 of your life, and then that's like 30% itself, right? But again, I'm not trying to kind of do the sleeping portion of it, but the waking your life, right? I mean, that's the actual life kind of thing, right? And when you're sleeping, that's given, right? So anyway, it's out of the 2/3, at least 60%, depending on those two factors, right? Could be 60 for some people. For some people, it could be even high as 80, 90, whatever, right? 80, 90, yeah. Maybe there's a baseline somewhere, right? 20% at least you need to be physical, right? You need to eat your food. You need to do your other kind of whatever physical activities that you need to do. But the key takeaway is that there is a huge percentage of your life, right, is ruled by digital products and tools. And that in turn generates recordable, trackable, analyzable data. And then finally, that analyzable data is also actionable, right? So that's the kind of key kind of reason why I did this whole video, right? Try to make you understand the importance of the amount of data you generate, right? So it should give you something to ponder on, something to really kind of think that all this data you are generating, right? Approximately 60% of every person's life is recordable, trackable, analyzable, and then actionable. And actionable is that key kind of final thing that we need to really ponder on, right? Positive. There's a lot of, with this data that you generate, there's a lot of positive things that can be done, right? That the good things. But there is also a lot of negative things. A lot of data that you generate can be used to manipulate you, right? Manipulatable. Is there a word called manipulatable? But yeah, that's something for you to kind of, as somebody living in this digital age, needs to understand and appreciate, right? Because yeah, and then we'll kind of analyze certain of these actionable kind of things, right? Positive and the negative ones. But just at the high level, negative ones would be like scammers, right? Scammers use things like social manipulation tactics, whatever, right? FOMO, for example, whatnot, to kind of manipulate you and use you, right? Whereas positive, there's a lot of positive things too that you can do. As in, you can analyze your data and see in which areas of your life, right? And we'll look at that too. I'll make a video on this. This is a very good topic of your feedback loop, right? How do you positively, if you generate data, how can you improve your life with that data? You analyze the data and improve your life. So again, this whole video, I haven't talked about what data is, but at the very kind of high level, data is something that can be stored in a database, right? And database is very different from just to give you a very high level understanding. Data is not something that's recorded on paper. It's on a digital kind of database, right? On a computer, really. Computer versus paper. There's tons of data that can be recorded on computer very efficiently, which you cannot do on paper, right? And that data, once it's on a computer, there is a lot of processing that can be done using analytical program, software, whatever you call it, right? That's analyzable. That's this point of view, right? And then once you understand that data, once you crunch it in a way, now you make it actionable, right? So that's the power of data. Again, I'll make a separate video and kind of outline this, but yeah, this one's for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.